no problem. And there's a lot of teams in this lobby who are capable of having a performance like that. So we really could see anything. We could see big victory royales and big numbers from a kind of one or two teams, or they could be completely spread out. Teams could be consistent. The whole leaderboard could be close. I'm kind of hoping for that. So there's a lot more hype built up, you know, into that last game. Everything's tense. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Nice. I mean, when it comes to Zeke's question of what do you think, my hot take one-liner is don't think, because there's nothing we could actually come up with to predict how the things will go today. In game, it'll be some next level play we haven't seen, like Hen, you know, solo clutching against a trio, and Thomas HD on low ground from EU. It'll be absolutely insane today.
Oh man, the hype is building. We hope you guys are just as excited as we are with 6 games on deck here in NA East. Now, gentlemen, we did make some predictions. We talked about which trios we all believed would walk away the new FNCS champion. So we're going to talk through some of this. Now, Monster Deface went with Zayt, Saf, and Stretch. But, you know, Shy, you kind of talked about it. These guys, they didn't have the day one performance we kind of expected.
They're just trying to make it interesting, right? They're just trying to say, hey, let's make things a little more even. We'll take the harder route. That's kind of my headcanon for this trio. Aussie picking the X-Et trio. They're looking really, really good today. We'll see if they can bring it back, hold up all the way to first against TNA. They had a few clashes in a few games, and these are two trios really trying to control the game and then overcome. It has to be this one. I feel like they might even take away the whole competition today. Reese, what about you?
I got Scented, Edgy, and Commandment. These guys have been dominant since forever. You know, I was going to give you an exact, but since forever, since their days back west, these guys have been so good all of the time. And today's been no different. And yesterday's 6 games, they started off really, really hot. They were definitely in contention for that first place slot. And then the last 2 games kind of fizzled out a little bit. So hopefully they've learned from those last 2 games, bring it back today, and they're going to get first.
Hey, man, it's all about the day 2 teams. Which teams can put it together, which one's going to gain that momentum and start the ball rolling. Now, we do have the standings. We can kind of set the stage here, kind of take a look at which teams are on top, what the point values look like, what the eliminations, the victory route, all of it. Let's break it all down right here. We'll take a look at just a moment. Just kidding. It was a joke. I lied.
Anticipation.
Listen, I got to keep you on your toes, okay? Listen, that's what the host does. We keep you on your toes. No problem at all. But for real, though, I can kind of just verbally talk us through some of this stuff to kind of get you guys right where we need to be. So we got Day, Miro, and Reverse UK. They're holding strong, 128 points. Right behind them, though, we got the X-Et trio. Shy, this is a trio that you did a package on, these low ground warriors that are also showing us from the high ground, they could get W's.
Yeah, both teams kind of know when to play low and when to go high, but both teams prefer to play low ground. And if that's the case, it'll be a Royal Rumble matchup, a 3v3 maybe at some point that these guys end up in the final zone. That'll be amazing to watch. Past that too, though, we have Reese's pick of Commandment, Edgy, and Scented. They're in 3rd place, looking very good with overall 96 points, so they're not so far behind. I mean, Reese, what do you think? What did they have to do to really overcome and take 1st place?
You know, for me, it's just play their consistent game, as always. You know, the first 4 games, like I said, they were consistent. Something went wrong in the last 2. Storm Surge issue, mid-game, early game, something around that they just didn't kind of perform the way they needed to. These guys just kind of fix whatever that was, play their consistent game. These guys are very capable of high elim games as well. Just that one pop-off can move them up. Consistency all the way through. They're going to win.
Hey, now is the time. We only have 6 games. No time for mistakes. Let's run it all the way through. For now, we're sending it over to our casters to say hello. Take it away.
And there we have it. Thank you, Zeke. As things are going to kick off, this is the critical time in the competition. It's day 2 with Monster Deface and Aussie Antics. Aussie, we had a fantastic 6 games yesterday.
We had an absolutely fantastic 6 games. We said it. It's one of the most competitive grand finals we've ever seen in NA East coming into that, and the leaderboard shows it. It is literally anyone's game.
Anyone's game here, and the battle bus is about to kick off, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to wait any much more longer. I surely cannot anymore. And now, here it is. We're going to enter into that Fortnite world. Coming into this, Day, Miro, Reverse UK had a 21-point lead, or actually just a 19-point lead. Very, very comfortable start to today. The pressure is on them to maintain that.
Yeah, I think it's a comfortable start, but it came at the back of something that you won't see very often. Them taking down early in the last game. If that didn't happen, which you have to imagine it won't happen often, it would have been even closer. But I'm already seeing this map have some big shakeups, Monster. Stark Industries, contested. First time we've really seen it. We saw it once yesterday, but within 5 seconds it was cleaned up and over. So that could be changing up the leaderboard a lot, as that's our 6th place team who has the mythic drop. They were really looking to have a big jump up today. So Booger's team not looking too great, but Reverse's team, we get to finally see where all the success is coming from.
That's what I was going to say. We get a taste of that true early game rotate here. I had a feeling they were going to be landing at the castle and around this area here, possibly claiming their way down towards the Rainbow Rentals. Regardless, a Quinjet to kick off your first round is a big one.
Ooh.
And this is a huge fight right now. Wait a second. They gave up Lazy Lake. Cease and Blake are here to battle.
They're here to battle. I mean, they were struggling yesterday, so I guess it's decent strategy. We saw it over on EU. We had a team roll up. The one game they dropped Stark, they won it and got a 15 elimination victory royale. So this strategy not completely out of the blue. This is the drop if you need to have an entirely different day 2. Things aren't going right and you've just got to put it all out on the line. This is the drop to do it. As Booger now, we know how strong this team is though, Monster. They have not lost this drop pretty much once in every qualifying week that we've watched and casted.
Yeah, but with the pressure being on, grand final setting, new team coming in, will the New Blood be able to overthrow them? This is already looking very, very bad for Booga and Avery, who do not have shield. And the whiffed shot here, Aussie. This is a rough one for him.
This is a rough one. He has one shotgun pellet left. Booger literally has one shot. He needs to make this count as Avery goes down. Cease is pretty weak right now. This is very, very even though. Booger and Jamper need to go in. Blake gets in though. He has the health advantage. Takes down Booger and then takes down Jamper. No. Blake gets in and takes everything he needs. This drop has the reboot van. He can reboot, he can loot, and then get into the vault. This is massive for Blake, Cease, and Furious, and it is as equally massive for our 6th place team that has now gone down game 1 of day 2. This is a huge change for NA East. This does not happen in NA East.
What a shakeup do we have here. 6th place team down and out of the competition for game 1 of 6 on the 2nd day. That is the worst way to kick off your tournament run. Not only that, leading into the competition, you talk about the social media atmosphere. It was already in the air. He already had a feeling coming into this. So with that, and then getting dropped off the rip, that is such a major setback.
We've already got another team creeping in, though, because they would have seen that, right? If you see Booger, Jamper, and Avery in the feed all going down as Pledge, they've come back and Pledge gets the sniper shot out of the sky to take Furious out. This is your wildcard team. This is the team that popped off when they needed to most, and now they're showing up here today. Connor Gage and Pledge drop at the lake house nearby. This could be really big for their team, Monster. They get to come in late and take all of this loot to themselves. If this is uncontested, there's no way they can roll up and win it, but they've got a really good shot right now, and we also have Saf, Stretch, and Zayd. Okay, this drop, okay, NA East is already so different to what anyone would have predicted. This is changing things up in the biggest way.
I mean, and Saf, Stretch, and Zayd have been known to do this. They will drop on this spot every now and again just to mix things up, but they seem like they can sense the blood in the water. They are the sharks coming in to try and sweep things up. It's not looking too good for Connor, Pledge, and Gage here, who just did get a knock, but I mean, to have one of the other greats come on in, Stretch and company have to do a big deal. They even get security of the Vault keycard. Way to kick it off.
That's what I was about to say. Have you ever seen in a region as competitive as NA East, or any region really, that a team would get double Vault? They've got the Doom's Domain Vault and Stark Vault. So if we talked about it, right? Zayd's team has come out in qualifying weeks. They're looking to do that here again today. They didn't have the performance we wanted yesterday. They started today in 16th. They have all the loot they could ever need. And now we have Zypher and Nosh rolling up. And we have Calc, Zexo, and Macwood. I don't even know. Did somebody tell these guys that it's grand finals? This isn't an arena match. What is happening?
This has to be a joke right now. Stretch is going to body Zypher here in a 1v1 box fight. Saf already has a knock as well, so it's looking very, very good in their favor. Calculator and company, though, on the mountain. Remember, they won game number 6 coming out of day number 1, so they are on a high note right now. They're on a streak here. Momentum is high for them. If they can get away with taking out another top dog team that plays for high ground, I mean, you have to think at that point is setting them up for success.
This is just going to be one of those days where now we have Keys, Nosh off in the distance. Everyone's showing up for this. This is not just affecting the teams to drop here. This is going to have a massive ripple effect now for the rest of the leaderboard. There are so many teams here with the opportunity and the potential to really jump up, not just in the leaderboard, but really control the end games. Any of these teams with this massive loot superiority could easily take down the TNA or XSET team just with that extra potential. So this is going to be so big going forward. And this isn't the last game. This wasn't like, your last ditch attempt to try and bring it back game 5 or 6. This is game 1 of day 2, and it's already this crazy.
All right, looks like XSET heard there was news of a party up at the Stark Industries, and they're beelining their way towards the cliff as well. Another team getting ever so much closer. All I want to say is I'm not upset that any of this happened. This is entertainment at the topmost form. Like, you don't get this every day. You don't get these kind of interactions and engagements with the best players, yet alone on a grand final setting with all this money on the line. So they've made it that much more interesting in game 1.
And so many games to react as well, right, Monster? So they can change it up now. Does Cease's team maybe pull out of there now? And if they pull out, does Zate's team show up and Booger's team already has the loot? There's just so many little interactions that can now flesh their way out because there's 5 more games after this. You can usually pull off a cheeky strategy once, but these teams are top caliber. They will learn and they will react instantly. And next game, their whole gameplay would have changed. As we see XSET, though, on the exact same game plan that we know works. They had such a good day 1. It was only literally game 6 where things kind of dropped off. They took a mid-game fight against Team New Age, and they lost it. If it wasn't for that, they would have undoubtedly been in first place.
Definitely, and you can see Creo's going to fall in the feed there. Talk about big names, big clashes. Legendian kicking things off for them in the right direction right there. The zone, though, pulls for a far northeastern draw. That is a big red flag for anyone still playing the outskirts right now. And it seems like whoever was up at the Stark Industry, whoever played the gamble to play that side of the map, is going to get early dibs on the big mountains here, except being one of the few that is close as well.
We also need to touch on the fact that we're hamming up how exciting this is. We're talking about how crazy this is for NA East. Only one team has gone down, which is the most NA East thing you've ever seen. There was 6 pretty much top tier teams, all within 5-10 meters of each other, all in the same POI, and still the only team that has fallen so far is Booger's team. We still have only 7 players going down right now, so this endgame is going to be ridiculous. Not like they're clearing out the lobby, they're all just trying to get those little tiny advantages that will make the difference here today, as this team is hitting a rotate that we saw yesterday. We saw this zone yesterday, Monster, and it was incredibly exciting, straight to the stacks.
And what's crazy about it, we also saw them do the same exact type of movement. Scented, Commandment, and Edgy literally decided that they wanted to play this cliff side, and they did it with a late rotate, which cost them so much material coming into it. It seems like they might have learned a little bit from their previous play, but not enough, because it's the same song and dance here. Getting tagged up, using material, and getting pretty much based up again on the side of the cliff. Here's a team trying a completely different strategy. They're going the opposite route, the wide rotate right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a risky one. I'm guessing they're going to try and get to this point where the mountain dips down and they can go over it. They don't want to hug underneath, but this is your 5th place team, so they had a lot of success yesterday. They got 1 victory royale, and they've been performing really well, and they've been doing it again on a drop that is very difficult for these north zones. You have Scented, Edgy, and Command we just saw hitting the rotate. They're coming from Misty. We now have Jack, Acorn, and Slacks who's coming from the Hydro Dam. But this does answer a big question for me, Monster. All of our top 5 teams right now are still uncontested. The only one we haven't had sights on is Aspect, Zuni's, and NPen, but we haven't seen them in the feed. So NA East, as much as Stark Industries is going crazy, everywhere else is pretty standard.
And Clicks finds Macwood in the feed there right as the glimpse takes to the wide shot, which means Macwood, Calculator, and what we saw, their rotate, right? Zexro coming up. They were just here not long ago. They hit a collision course up towards the northern part of this. That is very interesting. Commandment and crew, though, are finally making their way through. They made it up and over the mountain now, trying to play towards that lake house. The opportunity here to find a spot is evergreen. They're just early enough.
They're 53 below, though, because they've prioritized the movement. They've had to move really far up the map, and unfortunately, they've taken the safe routes, which is great. It means they haven't taken a lot of damage. I'm seeing all that extra shield, but they haven't dealt any damage either. So it looks like they're maybe going to set up on the mountain's edge here and see if they can get some tags on that team down below. But if they can't find the tags onto these teams, they don't have a lot of sight lines other than them. So they're setting up here. They need to get some damage. 66 below, and they miss the shots on this team. So if you guys don't know, if you're following from home, Storm Surge right now on the right of your screen, Edgy, Commandment, and Centered need to do over 66 damage to get above the threshold. If they do not, in 44 seconds when this zone closes, they're going to start taking 25 damage every 5 seconds until they go down, which would be monumentally massive upset for your team 3 coming into this.
It's going to be the biggest shots of the day for them right now is to get apart from that Storm Surge. Oh, and this is going to be an even bigger thing. Okay, so they're trying to get to their teammate Scented for a second there. I thought they were going off the cliff to dive onto a squad. I'm like, no way right now. But instead, they found themselves a nice isolated battle. This is the one they're choosing to pick the fight with. It's the squad that's based up on top of the cabin house here. Scented has got the lead on it, but 79 damage below. 6 seconds, Ozzy. 6 seconds to find damage, or the pressure is going to be on, and the advantage is out the window.
And 12 players have to go down. This is going to be a ridiculous storm. Sorry, not 12. Sorry, 21 players have to go down. 21. My bad. I forgot just how stacked NA East is. So I'm getting stumbled here. Commandment, they need to find this damage. That's all you need to know at home. They have to see that number on the right go to above. They need to do 154 damage. And that's why they're playing so desperate. They go into the box and the big shot. But Commandment's so low. He's literally 1 health. They're completely wiped. That's our top 3 team. That's our 3rd place team. Completely wiped off the face of this map instantly. And that's what Storm Surge does. It forces teams to be aggressive. You can't just rotate and hide. And that is such a massive upset.
Huge points right there. 3 of those is going to get that team closer to a top 20 as Acorn's going to go down as well. We talked about 21 individual players needing to get into a fight. It's breaking out across the field. Ronaldo's going to 4. AV just fell. Acorn obviously falling here as well as we are just jumping in. And there, Groska's going to conclude onto AV. So that means Xset also already losing a member. Big teams at the top of the food chain all being stumped out. That's your 2nd place and your 3rd place team already hitting a wall here. A red light as Aspect, Zunies, and NPen just found a huge chain of eliminations. That's going to give them access to 3rd place now. They are in 3rd place already.
And that's the only time you're ever going to see NA East, like, the feed light up that fast. It's going to be during Storm Surge. We went from 91 players to 70 players in the span of about 30 seconds. And not just any teams, a lot of the top teams. AV's now down. That's 2nd place. We saw eliminations going over onto 3rd place. Completely wiped. A team down from 5th place. So many teams are now wounded coming into this endgame. And the only one that I'm seeing get through completely unscathed is 1st place. The TNA team hasn't been on the feed, so they haven't gotten elimination and they haven't been eliminated. But that's a good spot for them. If they've survived Storm Surge, they're playing well. They're getting their tags and they're playing safe because they're the ones who, they really need to just hold on to their lead, right? You don't want to see them start playing safe because that's not what Team New Age does. But at the same time, they're not taking risks. And Shark is right out there in the zone. Something has gone very wrong for the Xset team.
Yeah, 100%. We last tuned in. They were just on the side of the cliff, so it seems like they had not only a terrible time rotating on in, but of course, that Storm Surge probably being the biggest factor for taking them out.
Big factor right now, and unfortunately we saw AV go down, but it's also Knight as well. Shark needs to make this rotate. He's got a good loadout to solo clutch this, but when it's grand finals, doesn't matter how good your loadout is, you don't want to be in the position where you have to solo clutch. Shockwaves, I'm predicting he's going to set up here, get close to zone, and then maybe try and hit a bouncer shockwave. Or with this Pepper, I think he might just try and sneak past and just white line this straight into the next zone. But if you're looking on the bottom right of your screen, on that minimap, that's how many players that are holding him out. And here it is, the bouncer shockwave. He's going to try and go straight over their heads, and this is it. If he hits the ground, he does, so he doesn't get shot in the sky, but now he's made himself very known to the rest of the lobby as a solo. If any of them saw that, they now know he's by himself. And it looks like the shockwave again, just trying to get away from all that congestion, Monster.
He's just on the move here, and he's doing a good job of it. Like, you might as well use it before the teams get there, before you actually get spotted, right? He's doing a great job of that.
It just shows again how good his team would have been in a position if they were all alive. They would have all made this next zone, and this is pretty much as far northeast as you can go on the map, and they drop on as far southwest as you can on the map. So this is a really difficult zone for them. They've usually overcome that. Something today hasn't quite gone right, but at the same time, they're still in it with a chance. And now all the other teams have to make that rotate as we see everyone starting to get congested on top of each other. And that's what being a solo allows you to do. He could just hit the bounce pad and the shockwave so much faster. He wasn't weighed down by the teammates, but now he's got next to nothing.
Here's a team on high ground. Isiv already on the way out the door. The crash pad's going to get them straight down to the safety of the new zone. Sumner, Typhoon still alive there. There's your trio. There's the first place team, Miro, Day, and Reverse 2K. They're just near XZ Shark, but it doesn't matter. They are very much comfortable right now. Like we said, they made it past the toughest part, that early first storm wave. And it seems like they are set up for success right now. Being at their dead side of the zone right now is huge, especially considering, just look at the loadout. They are comfortable, but the material count is the biggest question right now. Why is Day's count so low, and can they get their farm back?
I think they probably invested a lot of those soft mats as well. They pretty much ran out of wood, but they still have decent metal, and that's probably how they got in so healthily. But we know it, right, Monster? This team can get impact frags. When we talk about impact frags, someone from outside this wall, though, needs to be careful. Right there, Day just fires back. They get the spray down. All eliminations are impactful for points, but if you need the material, that's when you see plays like this, when they try to go aggressive on the walls to take someone out close enough where they can get the material back.
100%. And guys, just to give you guys an indicator, this is the closest region of the day. There's only a couple points separating those top teams. So when we say NA East has been intense, that entire day one atmosphere was so close. It is a huge toss-up here for day two. And I mean, second place being shambles out, third place being crossed out of the competition, and fourth on a rampage right now, that is going to change things up. Day, Mirror, and Reverse 2K's position on first place is not safe by any means. This is a huge fight for them right now. They're taking it, and Day's going to get punished big time. And no, he has to back up.
And this is why it's safe for nobody, because the caliber of players in this lobby, at any time you can see your first place team go down, and they just got a really unfortunate zone, Monster. That was a complete opposite pull, half, and it's going quite a fair bit over the water. This is a team that needs to step up. Zayt, Saf, and Stretch, we know they can win games. They went all of yesterday without winning any, which is just completely unheard of for this team. Now they've gotten Doom's Vault and Stark's Vault. There is no excuse for why this team can't perform here on the day, because they have to show up now. 3 points, but they came in on 16th. These are your star-studded veterans, and they need to show why they're still at the top of their game.
Let's see if they can pull off what they normally tend to pull off. It's a game one victory, because they need it more than anyone. One of the hottest teams coming into this. One of the most dominant teams that was held down yesterday. We don't even know what really went wrong for them, but there was something in the mid-game that just wasn't clicking. If they pull off a phenomenal 6-game streak, now that Booga, Avery, and Jamper are all contested on the draw spot, they could make one of the biggest comebacks we've ever seen, and that's a huge knock right there onto Kraz. Stretch is going to go ahead and fill that up, and Kaz is down and out. 4 eliminations for this trio. Very good.
Yeah, if anyone can make a monumental comeback like that, it's this team. They do it on the back of consistent wins. We said it yesterday. This team is wins or nothing. So what probably went wrong was they just didn't get those crucial little decisions like this in the mid-game that set you up for the end game. As Stretch is now getting sprayed out. He's down to 18 health. He has the splashes. He has the big pots. As long as he gets away from this, he should be okay. And just like that, Saf instantly jumps into the line of fire and starts holding the builds for him. And this is what this team does best. It's the trust. It's the chemistry. They back each other up at all costs. They win together or they go down together. There's next to no solo clutching when it comes to this team.
That was the perfect way to put it. Literally, Saf jumped out from the second and third layers there just to get in front of the line of fire. Saf is the pivotal type of teammate unit. He is the peak teammate on this squad. He is always there to back up Zayt or Stretch in their toughest times. I think he is the key to this team's success. And right now, Saf's looking like he's set up for it. Stretch, though, leading the rotate out with Zayt right now in front. Saf right behind them. What is it going to turn out to be here as High Ground's looking to put some pressure up? If he hits this snipe, that can open up a lot of things for this team.
And that's it. They're a high team right now, and I think they want to go for it. But unless Zayt's got some shockwaves or something I'm not seeing, Saf and Stretch have a great loadout, but it's not a high loadout as they get split now. That rotation went a little bit astray right now. Saf's got the legendary pump, though, so if he has to work his way through the low and mid ground, he's one to be able to do it. And you see this right here. This is what I mean by them not being solo players. He doesn't even use his meds. He takes down Legend D, and I saw TNA, and my heart dropped for a second. It is Legend D, though, but I was going to say Saf doesn't even pop his meds, Monster. He is so prioritized on getting back to his team that he'll try to do it with 26 health rather than stay away from them.
That's a veteran, if you've ever seen one right there. Knows how to stick with the team hip to hip with the players, and it works out best. And right there, the fundamentals being the key to success right now. Awesome. All of a sudden now, pressure coming in from all the layers here. Saf's still on the hunt. There's players behind the wall, though. Can he find another one? Oh boy, it's getting very interesting now.
And I'm seeing
intense.
Miro in the feed, and I'm also seeing Zuni's in the feed. So that's your first and third place team. Miro in the feed again. So Team New Age has proven that day one wasn't a fluke. They're here to show up again. But Saf trying to do something on the low ground, and you can't count this team out. And this is a position we haven't had the joy of seeing them in, Monster. We always see them on height. Let's see if they can have the same strategies as XSET and TNA, where they can work the bottom as well as the top. And just like that, of course, Saf can. The big 200 pump from the Legendary, but no, the finish off is too slow, and he gets caught in the back. But Stretch and Zayt are still in this, and they've got some good eliminations as we have an entirely new team on the high ground.
100%. This wide shot, though, does show Team TNA in the mid ground, still alive right now, as Simple YT's going to wrap up a couple elims on the side. Clicks, Bizzo, and Illis do have that high ground hold, and it looks like a strong one. This is the traditional hold from this trio right here. Clicks way up above, comfortable, out of sight, out of pressure from anyone else. On the other perspective, Kanata, Bucky, Creo, can they make a comeback? Such a strong qualifying week one, leading into two, but all of a sudden they fizzled out. They were out of the competition ever since then. Can they make this a big day two comeback?
They have to make it a big comeback. They need big points, and that's it. They don't just need the placement, they need some eliminations too. So I really want to see Illis do what Illis does best and drop down and start finding those angles, because this team's coming in just inside top 20. They haven't had the usual performance, but as I say that, Riversun's starting to make his way up. Mega and Dubs hanging out there as well. This is two teams that needed to show up big on day two, as Kanata also in the low ground. So right now, we have a couple of our top teams up, but this is really a redemption story right now. All the teams that just underperformed yesterday, trying to start off day two completely different, and Clicks is doing just that. He capitalizes, takes down Stretch, and that is Zayt's team out of this, as they're looking so dominant. But we've seen teams win this from the mid ground. I'm seeing Dubs, Megas, and Riversun look so healthy to take this.
They're definitely sitting there. They're waiting. Clicks is going to get a little close to this team, as is Illis. They're going for the box fight. The Shockwaves are going to come out. Riverson challenges height, and Bizzle gets bodied. Riverson wins the high ground. Back to the low, though. The story continues. Kanata, Creo, Bucky, 9th place coming into this. All of a sudden, a huge game like this. At 10 eliminations, Ozzy, they can propel themselves way up the standings, but first place is still here to play, too. This is not looking too good, but still, they are set up for success.
This was 3 full trios. This is the most exciting thing you can ask for. The 28 shot, it's not heavy, but it's enough, and Illis goes down. And this might be Bucky, Creo, and Kanata. They might be doing this right now. I think they have every advantage. They have the splashes, and they have the bandage cannon on Kanata. They have full heal-off potential, and with the way this zone is going, it could be just that. Kanata's dropping the splashes, though. He's not holding on to him. They're not going for the heal-off. At least Kanata isn't anyway. I'm waiting for a bounce pad, but he has no build, and that's it. Clicks goes down there. Bucky, Creo, and Kanata come back in the biggest way, and what a redemption story for this game one. All the big teams that needed to come back have done just that.
13 eliminations in a victory royale. What a huge way to jump up the standings right there. And big upsets across the board. Your top teams falling just like that. We'll see how it's all going to shake up, though, on the standings, because now it's a big question mark. We're going to toss over to the analyst desk here shortly for the boys to break down the action. That was day number 2, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Listen, this is